The women's hockey team advanced to the WCHA Final Face-Off and will play number 3 seed North Dakota on Saturday at 5 p.m. in Grand Forks. The winner of that game will then face the winner of the Minnesota versus Bemidji State game on Sunday at 1 p.m. Head coach Mark Johnson is here. We'll have an opening statement, then take questions.
Thanks. Certainly, happy and pleased with our team's effort both Friday and Saturday night. Especially Friday night, we came out in the first period. We had talked about all week coming out with some energy and some enthusiasm and trying to get a real quick start, and we were able to score 4 goals Friday night, and certainly helped us with our victory. And then came back with a similar type effort. Came out again with some energy on Saturday night, and we were able to create a couple goals in the first period, and certainly played 6 good periods. And it's time of year where you're looking for little things to maybe add a little confidence to your players, and some of the players that scored this past weekend, I think, feel better about themselves, and great preparation in regards to getting ready for North Dakota Saturday afternoon at 5. So we'll leave Friday, get an opportunity to skate up there, and then if you win, you get to play for a championship on Sunday afternoon. And if you lose, you come home. So it's lots at stake, lots on the line, and I think the players are excited for the opportunity.
Mark, I know you have 4 young ladies that rank in the top 30, I think, in scoring, but it's nice to get those others to contribute a little bit every once in a while too, isn't it?
It really is, especially at this time in the year where, like I say, Katie Joseph scores Saturday and a goal, and just that little bit of extra confidence coming into this weekend, can help her out, and so. You're looking for those things. Certainly Blair's played well the last 4 or 5 weekends and been very consistent for us. And you get contributions from other players. It just helps you, as we've always talked about. If you're deep in that area of scoring goals or creating opportunities, it just makes it more challenging for other teams to defend against you.
Mark, you talk about at this time of year finding the little things in your game that you can enhance. What can Anne Renee do to? Where can she tighten things up a little bit? Where can she get better going into the next round of the playoffs?
Well, I think is you create habits over the course of the winter and within yourself. How you prepare for games, and obviously the meaning of this game is a lot different than it was maybe in early December. But I think whether the game is more meaningful on paper or a playoff game, I think your preparation has to be consistent. So with Anne, what she's done up to this point, her body of work has been very good, and I think as she prepares for Saturday afternoon's game, come to practice, do the things that you need to do to prepare yourself, and I think if she's able to do that, then she can step on the ice Saturday afternoon up in Grand Forks and be comfortable and confident that she's going to have a good game.
Eric?
It's one thing to be ranked in the top 4. It's another to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. Is this team a Frozen Four type team from what obviously you've coached a lot of them over the years?
Well, you find out about your team, to me, over this 2-week period in our WCHA playoffs, and if they're worthy of taking that next step. And, we took the first step here by beating St. Cloud in back-to-back games. And now it's an opportunity to go up, and play in a semifinal game, knowing that if you lose, you're going to come home. And so it really sets the stage for that playoff atmosphere where if you're not successful, that part of the season is going to be over. Obviously, our body of work is going to give us an opportunity to play another game after this weekend. But anytime you get a chance to compete for a championship, it's a good thing. And so, this 2-week period, opportunity to move on and hopefully get to Sunday afternoon to play for that championship, prepares your team mentally and I think physically, for the next step if you're invited to the national tournament.
Right. What were the 4 games against North Dakota like this season? Were they all similar in some respects?
I think the first 2 were very similar. In years past in history, what we've seen. The 2 games up in Grand Forks were a little bit different just because of personnel. really on both sides was different. We were missing a couple kids in Friday's game that were up at the Four Nations, and then Saturday, 4 of our top 6 forwards weren't participating at the game. One of their defensemen was also up in Vancouver at the Four Nations, so it was a different type of game. Our Saturday game was, to me, a real character builder in that we were able to come away with a real strong win and a real adverse atmosphere, not having those players dress for us. But this time of year, obviously, the last 4 or 5 weekends, North Dakota's played well. They certainly played well at home. They beat Minnesota in their own barns. So, the task that we have in front of us is going to be challenging, and certainly we're going to have to play a real quality game to come away with a victory Saturday afternoon.
Mark, do you think if someone were to ask your players if you're different as a coach from the regular season to the playoffs? They all talked last week about it's a different time. You could feel it in the dressing room that things are changed. You're in the playoffs now. It can be one and done. But do you think they would see a change in you? And if so, what would that be?
I would probably say they might see a little bit of difference, just getting pointed out little details that are important at this time of year. So in Saturday's game, some of the things that, as coaches, we always look at things and how we can improve. And so some of the things in our Saturday game against St. Cloud that, as a coaching staff you don't like, you probably are going to point those out a little bit more on a regular basis. And so it becomes down to these details. And, there's probably 4 or 5 or 6 things that, we have to make sure that, they understand as we prepare them for Saturday's game. So, but as far as my mannerisms on the ice or off the ice, they'd probably say I'm not going to change much.
Since you're on the committee, where does North Dakota stand as far as the national tournament is concerned?
They're in a position, that they need to do well this weekend. The tough part about if the season ended today, whoever is in that 8th spot is going to get eliminated because the CHA gets an automatic qualifier this year. And as we sit here today, and you look at the rankings, their group, their teams at this point don't have that. So whoever qualifies this weekend is going to get, that 8th spot. And so you don't want to be in the 8th spot, and realistically you don't want to be in the 7th spot either, because something might happen out east that somebody might get in as an automatic qualifier and push that other team out. So
to what degree does North Dakota have some psychological advantages this weekend? Not only are they home, they are, one would think, a little more desperate than you guys are.
Well, it's to me it's a desperate time of year. So if you look at us, you want to play in a championship game Sunday afternoon, and so there's a lot at stake for our personnel, and certainly you look at North Dakota playing in their home arena, in their surroundings, but knowing that they have to win. So it's going to be desperation on their side too. And again, that's what makes for a great game. That's what makes the entertaining part, and that's what I think coaches and players enjoy this part of the season, is just everything's on the line. And even with St. Cloud, this past Saturday, when you make it 3-1 and then 4-1, they're still competing. They don't want the game to end. They want to figure out somehow, how to win the game. And for their seniors, they don't want this to happen where, you end up losing and then your season's over and you wake up the next morning and you're no longer a college hockey player. And so it's a fun time of year, and certainly, we're going to run into a little bit of a hornet's nest as we start the game Saturday afternoon because of the scenarios.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Mark.